Life is a journey full of challenges and difficulties. We will face failures, injuries, losses, etc. At such times, we often feel frustrated, hopeless, and want to give up. However, if we know how to face difficulties in a positive way, we will be able to overcome those challenges and become stronger. In this story, we will explore how to deal with difficulties in life. We will learn how to accept and face difficulties, learn how to find opportunities in difficulties, and learn how to overcome difficulties to become stronger. This story will be a source of motivation to help you overcome the challenges in life and become a stronger person. Hi, everyone, welcome back to MYBED, a channel that shares knowledge to develop yourself through good books. Today, I would like to send you a video about the core of the extremely useful book called AQ, Resilience Index, Turning Difficulties into Opportunities by Dr. G.Stoltz. We are living in an era full of opportunities, but also full of difficulties. Constant change and endless challenges. Facing an uncertain future that cannot be predicted, what is your ability to withstand, recognize, and cope with difficulties? Many studies have found that success is a combination of 20% from IQ and 80% from EQ. EQ is considered more important than IQ in the process of growing and developing a person's career and life. However, Dr. G.Stoltz points out that in this era, there is still something more important than EQ, which is AQ, the ability to overcome difficulties and adversity. If IQ and EQ determine how well a person can go, then AQ is what determines how far you can go. In this book, it will point out the difficulties that you are facing and how to cope with adversity. How we build resilience from those ups and downs. From here, we can find opportunities to become stronger, take a step forward, and improve ourselves more. And to let you know that endless beauty is only on the top of the steep mountain. Now, let's listen to the sharing content of today. Part 1, Life is a journey of mountain climbing. Are you a quitter, a camper, or always on the road? First, let us start with this true story. In 1996, 31 people attempted to climb Mount Everest together. The weather was beautiful that day, until the group was about to reach the summit when a sudden, terrible storm hit. Everyone started looking for shelter. Some people just lay down, which was actually a very dangerous act. In the end, 8 people died, including the team leader who had a wealth of experience and had successfully climbed the mountain many times before. After the storm, a man was unconscious in the blizzard. A few hours later, he suddenly woke up in the freezing cold with his body almost frozen and his eyes injured. But even when he lost his gloves and realized that his strength could only last about 3 to 4 more hours, he still tried to keep going forward, looking for a way to escape to return to base camp. At that time, the image of his beloved wife and children at home appeared in his head. But in the end, a miracle happened. He found his teammates' tent, and with his superhuman will, he survived. This is a somewhat extreme example to assess a person's ability to overcome adversity. Because in everyday life, such bad things do not often happen. However, facing natural disasters is the most accurate measure of one's ability to overcome difficulties. And the author, after many years of research and experience, believes that the journey of each person is inherently like a mountain climbing process. So, from the story above, he provides an analysis when facing difficulties. Quitter. Quitters are people who give up immediately when faced with difficulties. They do not want to try to overcome them, they only want to find ways to avoid them. These people often will not be successful in life. Camper. Campers are people who stop and camp when faced with difficulties. They will stay there until the difficulties pass. These people may be successful in life, but they will not achieve the highest achievements. Always on the road. People who are always on the road are people who continue to move forward when faced with difficulties. They will never give up trying to overcome difficulties. These people have the potential to achieve the highest achievements in life. Life is a challenging journey. We will face many difficulties along the way. It is important that we choose how to face difficulties. If we choose to give up or camp, then we will not be able to achieve the highest achievements in life. But if we choose to keep moving forward, then we will have the opportunity to achieve great success. So, what kind of person are you? Do you want to be a person with high IQ? Here is a concept called the tree of success. It is like an integrated model that explains the core role of IQ, the ability to cope with difficulties. Imagine a person with high IQ will be as firm as a mature tree in a harsh environment, with the top of the tree representing personal performance, which is also the part that is easily visible on our body. It is prominently displayed outside. The top of the tree is your achievements that others and yourself will rely on to evaluate you. The branches that stretch out represent a person's abilities and aspirations. Abilities here are a combination of skills, experience, and knowledge, while aspirations here will include passion, dreams, and ambitions. As for the trunk, it represents a person's intelligence, health, and morality. Especially morality, it includes qualities such as fairness, honesty, kindness, and is the foundation for us to live in harmony with ourselves and those around us. Finally, there is the root. This is the genes, family, and beliefs of a person. These factors exist deep in your mind and soul. They are reflected in a vague way. However, it plays a very important role in the process of achieving success. To be a climber who can always be at ease and strong on your way, you need to nurture IQ, prune and fertilize yourself to be able to grow like a successful tree. So, how to be as firm as this tree? Below we will go into specific methods, and the first thing you need to have is a clearer awareness of difficulties. In fact, we are all living in a time full of challenges and facing 3 different levels of difficulties. 3 levels of difficulties. The first level of difficulty is the difficulty from society. It is the narrow definition of success that the environment brings from public opinion. In addition, the crime rate, the widening gap between rich and poor, the high divorce rate and unemployment are making people suffer a lot of pressure in an imperfect social system. The second level of difficulty is the difficulty of career. An article by Business Switch has a shocking title like this: "Work is Hell." The article points out that workers today are facing uncertainty about wages, employment, and social security for a long time. In other words, workers today are busier but earn less. In addition, to maintain this source of income, people must constantly learn and improve knowledge, diverse skills to cope with the complex changes of the profession, while the sense of security brought by the profession is gradually disappearing. The third level comes from the lives of each individual. The situation of difficulty often occurs like a pyramid. All the difficulties from society and career often spread from top to bottom and ultimately make each individual have to bear all. The burden of the family is increasing, the individual's health is declining, the crisis in middle age makes a person's psychology become vulnerable. In a survey, Dr. G.Stoltz observed something very meaningful. He found that every day, a 6-year-old child laughs 300 times while an adult only laughs 17 times. But even those smiles are sometimes not sincere, only sad smiles, sympathetic smiles, fake or forced smiles. We should know that all these difficulties are accumulating over time and happening quietly in your life. 4 dangerous forks on the journey to the top of the mountain. On this dangerous road, we have recognized the crises and are trying to strive to move forward. However, this journey always has many forks. Next, you need to understand how you have chosen to step forward to realize why you always carry pressure, cannot persevere to the end to make a meaningful life like a real climber. The first fork is that the climber turns into a camper and gives up climbing. This is a fork that many people have chosen. When climbing becomes more difficult, people begin to feel fear. They will stop in a comfortable area, set up a tent, create a safe place. They think this resting place is strong enough to withstand the changes of the times and can still maintain stability forever. But in reality, it is not as desired. Change never stops. When you wait for danger to stop, in fact, it is not much different from waiting for life to end. There is a saying that you will be reborn in the midst of danger, but will be killed by peace. A comfortable environment will weaken you, making the human spirit, body, mind, and emotions deteriorate. Not only can you not climb high mountains, but you also lose the ability to withstand the storm. The second fork is to rely on technology. When climbing becomes more difficult, people start to rely on technology instead of solving problems themselves. They forget that our greatest source of strength always comes from our mission and belief in ourselves. When power belongs to technology, most people will start not wanting to take responsibility and solve problems themselves anymore. From there, feeling more helpless when facing difficulties and starting to doubt oneself. Next is the third fork, temporarily stimulating the spirit. Hold on, keep going, you will overcome and achieve victory. These words of encouragement are like a cup of morning coffee that helps you stay mentally alert for a short time but cannot be sustained for a long time. For example, like when you are facing some difficulties, you constantly seek comfort and encouragement from posts, videos on the internet. However, after watching, you cannot turn the knowledge you have learned into your own to apply it appropriately. Your life is just watching, just listening and reading, but you don't take notes, remember, think critically, apply selectively, or write down your thoughts. This kind of listening is like drinking a cup of coffee or a can of energy drink. It's just a temporary mental stimulation. Even worse, it can be addictive. After the stimulation fades, you will crave for more. You will never stop listening and stimulating, but it won't help you improve your ability to overcome difficulties. And the last fork is falling into a cycle of helplessness and despair. When people fall into helplessness, they lose all hope. And when there is no hope, they will become even more helpless. These two factors interact and promote each other, creating a vicious circle that is difficult to escape. It drains the life and energy of humans. If you step into this fork, it is really very dangerous. This is the easiest way to make you lose your enthusiasm and give up easily. Part 3, Core, understand the core elements to build resilience. After understanding yourself through adversity, the next step is to understand the core elements to build resilience for yourself. Core, it consists of 4 elements, just like playing tennis, which must combine all 4 elements of strength, speed, coordination, and judgment to maintain endurance and break through. Here, your ability to overcome difficulties must also be combined from the 4 dimensions of the word core. These 4 dimensions will include the first letter C, control, meaning control. Ask yourself a question: how do you feel about your ability to control unfavorable situations? Please note the important keyword here is feel, because what determines how much control you have lies in your own feelings. In other words, you must have a belief that everything is possible. Although this is difficult, there will definitely be a solution. The greater the belief, the higher the level of problem control. Conversely, if you always think that this is beyond my ability, I can't do it, then you have already lost your balance from the beginning. To turn belief into action, you need the second element, O, meaning ownership. Only when people feel responsible for every outcome will they act with a strong spirit and from there be able to constantly learn and grow. In simple terms, I believe in myself, I dare to do it and take responsibility for my actions. Next is the third aspect, our meaning reach. People with low AQ are often very sensitive, so they are easily prone to exaggerate difficult situations and let them have a big impact on all aspects of life. For example, just a word of criticism from others can make them anxious all day long, or being rejected in an interview can make them see the future as bleak. They are prone to sleeplessness, become depressed, and often make wrong decisions at this time. On the contrary, people with high AQ have a more calm and rational attitude. They will consider the problem objectively, not let negative emotions spread and weaken their mood. Therefore, we need to always stay calm, not let small problems in the subconscious spread and affect our strength when we climb a mountain. In simple terms, it means, I believe, I dare to do, dare to bear, and now I will calm down to let my mind be like a calm river, not being disturbed by any external factors affecting my mood. Finally, to overcome difficulties, you must definitely have meaning endurance. Adversity can always knock you down continuously, but the important thing is how to get up and persevere every time you fail. It depends on whether you have the ability not to easily label yourself. People with low IQ often have a pessimistic mindset, believing that a crisis is permanent and at the same time attributing the cause of failure to unforeseeable external factors. On the contrary, people with high IQ will not easily label themselves, willing to think that failure is due to not trying hard enough and they will be able to improve the situation next time. Therefore, you need to combine all four of these elements in order for your ability to overcome difficulties to be formed. However, to truly be able to overcome adversity, you still need to use another set of tools, namely lead to enhance resilience. Part 4, the lead tool, enhancing resilience. Over the years, the author has used the lead tool to help many people become more optimistic, and to help many people who have given up or are stuck in their current situation to start their own climbing journey. I have tried it and shared it with many friends before, and all of them found it very effective. This set of tools includes listening, detecting, taking responsibility for yourself, analyzing, and taking action. Many people may think that developing resilience requires such a complex process. However, you need to understand that the reason why our ability to cope with difficulties is low is because when difficulties come, we often react unconsciously. Lead is like a tool that can activate the mind's alarm system and help you restore your rationality. Because ultimately, the key to overcoming difficulties lies in a person's rationality. Imagine a situation like this: if a crazy person stands up and yells at you, "Look, it's all your fault. You're just making the situation worse. Give up." If you hear this, would you be affected by their words without trying to find a solution? Almost no one would want to pay attention to the words of a crazy person. But what if those words came from inside you? Can you guarantee that you won't be affected? Obviously, it is impossible. You will start to believe in it and panic and lose your composure in every situation. Therefore, to improve your ability to cope, the first thing you need to do is to recognize difficulties by listening. So what should we listen to? Listen to your own reactions when dealing with difficulties. For example, when you are getting ready to go to work and you find out that your car is out of gas, when you arrive at work and you see that the important package you ordered has not been delivered yet, or when the meeting room you booked in advance is being used by someone else, etc. These small problems often only make us feel uncomfortable at the time and will be ignored later because they do not cause immediate serious consequences. But the author advises us to recognize and be careful with even small difficulties. Like a forest ranger who can smell smoke before a fire spreads, you also need to recognize difficulties before they become a major disaster. Because keeping your mind alert to difficulties will allow you to identify, reinforce your responses, and gradually become a reflex that helps you quickly deal with similar situations. Specifically, after recognizing the difficulty, listen to how you are coping with it. See if you are thinking of blaming the circumstances and others. Are you avoiding or ignoring difficulties? Then, measure yourself in the 4 aspects of core that I mentioned above, how many points you scored in this handling situation. Just like that, after each time you listen to yourself and adjust these 4 aspects, you will have the strength of a climber who can automatically deal with difficulties. Large or small difficulties are an inevitable part of life. However, not everyone can overcome difficulties effectively. Some people will let difficulties overwhelm them, while others can turn difficulties into motivation to rise up. To overcome difficulties effectively, we need a useful tool. The lead tool is a tool recommended by many psychologists. This tool includes 4 steps. Listening. The first step is to listen to yourself. When faced with difficulties, we often have negative reactions such as anxiety, fear, anger. Listen to these emotions and find out the causes. A small tip to help you listen to yourself more effectively is to set a mental alarm bell in a humorously exaggerated tone like, "Oh, here is the difficulty, hello." When such an alarm sound comes into your mind, the difficulty will not easily become negative emotions that make you lose your way. Explore your own responsibility. After listening to yourself, we need to identify our own responsibility in the difficulty. Excessive self-blame or completely avoiding responsibility can weaken our ability to control. We need to take responsibility in a reasonable way. This will help us motivate ourselves to take positive actions without focusing on exaggerating the bad things or turning them into disasters. Analyzing the difficulty. After identifying our own responsibility, we need to analyze the difficulty. We need to answer the following questions. Is there any evidence that you cannot control the situation? Is there any evidence that this event will have an impact on other things in life? Is there any evidence that the negative consequences will be long-lasting? When we can analyze the problem in this way, we will find that in most cases, the answer will be no. We will recognize what is a real disaster and what is a disaster that the imagination is exaggerating. Do. After analyzing the difficulty, we need to take action. We need to take positive actions to resolve the difficulty. Carrying out the first 3 steps of the lead tool is to help us not fall into the trap of the victim mentality. From there, we can take positive action. Life has countless difficulties. Facing big difficulties like loved ones being in accidents or suffering from serious illnesses is really too painful. So how to have enough reason to use the lead tool? The author of the book How to Overcome Difficulties believes that if you let negative emotions lurk in your mind, you will forever lose your future. In fact, the first 3 steps of listening, exploring responsibility, and analyzing difficulties are all to help you recognize and escape from the negativity hidden in the difficulties. Listen to the story of what the great mother Kenny's Linebarger did when her 6-year-old son was hit and killed by a drunk driver. If she hadn't listened to her reaction to the pain, hadn't explored the responsibility, and hadn't analyzed the psychological causes caused by illusion, she would have lived in sadness and hatred forever. Her final action after having a full assessment of the difficulty was to take a constructive action. She founded an organization against drunk driving, promoting relevant legislation to prevent other parents from experiencing similar painful emotions. And today, this organization has saved over 300,000 lives. This is the action of a mountain climber who has the ability to overcome adversity in real life. Conclusion: overcoming the weakest reaction of yourself. After listening to the content above, let's review it a bit. You can pause the video and recall the entire content in combination with personal concepts and experiences to answer the following questions. Do you have any personal thoughts on the core way to help yourself improve your ability to overcome adversity? What makes a person have a stronger inner heart? What reaction of yours makes you feel the weakest? Psychologists believe that the reaction that can make people feel the weakest in the face of difficulties comes from the illusion of the brain, and that is the disaster imagination. When you turn everyday difficulties into major failures and see them as something that cannot be saved, the mood of becoming a victim of adversity will immediately emerge strongly in you. This mood is a very deep trap and often stimulates people to use it as a reason to give up. The victim mood often comes from the fact that you don't feel like you can control the difficult situation, so you don't take responsibility. Finally, to conclude the entire sharing session today, I will share more about the methods to help you practice stopping disaster imagination. The best way to stop imagining is to intervene immediately, and this process will have 2 very effective methods: awakening and reframing. Awakening method. Clap your hands loudly and say stop. The pain and the sound help to transmit a strong signal to your brain to create a kind of electrical interference. This immediately blocks your negative thoughts. Focus on something else. This is a way to calm down and not be too ostentatious. This method is more suitable for public environments. Wear a rubber band. Like basketball player Kevin Garnett, to avoid causing conflict during competition, he always wears a rubber band. As soon as they feel the signs of their explosion, they will pull the rubber band to snap a really painful one to cut off this negative thought. Exercise. This is the most effective way to create endorphins in the brain to help you relieve stress before dealing with difficulties. Reframing method. This is a way to adjust your distorted perspective right away when facing a difficulty. It will help you open up a higher perspective. Focus again on the original goal or the reason you have to face this challenge. When you feel like you can't see the whole situation clearly, this is the best time to apply this skill. Look at yourself smaller. This is how you deliberately put yourself in a large environment. For example, standing in front of the sea, standing in front of a starry sky, the vast and magnificent nature will make people feel very small. At this time, you can lower your ego and start to be able to recognize your own problems. And the last thing is to help others. When helping others, we can look at our own problems with a more humble perspective. But when helping others, try to ask questions instead of teaching. We can use the lead tool to help friends and family improve their level of control based on the 4 aspects of resilience. In the lead tool, we can ask the following questions to the person being helped: who can take on this task for you? Who can change everything? Etc. Most people don't like being told what to do. Telling friends directly about how they live will usually not improve their ability to overcome difficulties. Therefore, an important part of the lead tool is to ask questions instead of teaching. Above is the entire content of the core of this book. We cannot choose the era or living environment. The only thing we can choose is how to effectively and positively respond to any difficulty. The concept of resilience and the lead tool provided in this book, I think it is a powerful weapon to help you deal with an unfavorable environment. Life can be full of adversity, but how you deal with difficulties can redefine your entire destiny. And a final message: I hope that all of us can become strong climbers, walking on our own path. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Give me a like, follow button, and turn on the notification bell to watch my latest weekly videos.